Yeah. Now, next to Larry, we have the fabulous Kay Adams, ladies and gentlemen. And you've been doing the vagina play, haven't you?
The vagina, or as my mum calls it, the Virginia Monocles. She's going to change it. She's not having it. Yeah, yeah.
That was with Gail Porter. She's been doing it with you.
Yeah, Gail was on it, and Michelle McManus and Karen Dunbar was the other one.
So an all-Scots production.
Yes, it was. It was Edinburgh Playhouse, 2,000 seats. Well, in fact, it seats more than that. We had 2,000 in the last night. I really didn't want to do it at all.
That's what Gail told me as well.
Well, no, well, Gail had, you know, the famous scene where you've got to do all the orgasms.
Yeah.
They gave it to me at first. I said, I can't do it. I just couldn't do it. And
your
poor
orgasm's
Gail.
out.
I just absolutely. And I have to say, Gail Porter was fantastic at that. She really was. She kept saying she hated doing it, but she was brilliant.
Is it weird? Is it weird though, sort of performing as an actress, rather, or actor, I should say. No,
yeah, well, it depends what bits you get. I mean, I didn't really feel that I had to act in the sort of pieces that I had. I mean, you had to kind of, I suppose, perform them, but perform is different from acting. I don't know what the kind of line is. I really enjoyed it. It was an amazing feeling to have 2,000 women, and there was like 10 blokes, but clearly they thought they'd come for something completely different. I was tempted to say it's further down Leith Walk you're looking for, darling, but I didn't. Just to hear that roar of laughter. Well, you must hear it all the time, Scott, the roar of laughter.
Our special guest, ladies and gentlemen, Scott Capurro.
No, it must be great to have them in the palm of your hand. I mean the audience at your show to have them in the palm of your hand.
Oh, my word.
There was only 10 men in the audience. There wasn't much to choose from.
They look like men. You never know nowadays.
No,
Ain't that the truth?
It's all about gender play nowadays. It's not about gay or straight. It's am I male or am I female? I was just in San Francisco and I'm like, I don't know what that is, but it's hot.
Now, the Perrier award-winning comic is back performing a chat show at London's Royal Vauxhall Tavern from tomorrow. A chat show.
A live chat show format. Yeah, I've always wanted to do it, and the Vauxhall Tavern asked me what kind of show I'd like to do, and I suggested this, and then I thought we should make it celebrity heavy, you know, like this panel is, so that people will come along and watch. So Graham Norton's on the first, it's a kind of a St. Patrick's Day celebration tomorrow night. We have Joe Caulfield, Graham Norton, other performers who are Irish, or at least do Irish type of acts.
Right.
So I just thought it'd be fun to sit around and chat. Nothing promotional.
Is Frank Carson on?
Yeah, no.
Who else have you got there? I know Brian Paddock is
He'll be coming along, but that's later on. And the last show, we have Ken Livingston and Julian Clary on the last show, which has gotten a lot of attention too. Katie Brand's coming along next Tuesday. Yeah, it'll be really fun, I think, just the chance to see these people not feeling the pressure of saying, I've got this book or this film or this whatever coming, just talking about things they want to talk about, you know? And I just thought it might be interesting to see performers in a different sort of relaxed format. I just want to hang out with people I like and I think are talented. So maybe you'll come along.
Love to. I'm just trying to, because when you're here, I get very anxious.
Why is that?
Well, love you as I do. It's just that fear that that one may say something that daytime rules might forbid on TV because.
What are the rules? I always forget what they are. What are they
they're pretty strict, actually.
Yeah, they are. Yeah.
But of course, the nice thing about doing a show like yours in the evening in a theatre is you can do what you like.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. I mean, I think that people should do what they like all the time. You know, I think that there's some performers I'm going to bring on this show over the 6-week span that some of the audience think have sold out. But I don't think performers who are successful have sold out. They're just doing what they like. And that happens to be what the audience wants to see and what TV wants to pay for.
I mean, there's been so much emphasis on what is acceptable and what is not within the world of comedy. I know we've talked about it briefly beforehand when you've been here in the past. But the post-Jonathan Ross, Russell Brand situation, what's it like for comedians who want to go near the edge or even over it?
Well, I've had clubs ask me to not discuss the Quran, ever. To not discuss religion and especially not bring up the Quran. And the Quran seems like a gold-mine in comedy material to me.
Yeah, go on.
Just
Let's hear your best one on the
metaphors.
Quran.
Well, I couldn't find the 72 virgins. I looked everywhere. No, I couldn't.
You really don't want to be minding that one on daytime
That to me sounds like a lot of work. Anyway, so a lot of tears, a lot of calls home. I couldn't find...
Is there more anxiety around from TV producers, radio producers about what...
Well, they don't meet with me anymore. But from what I hear, yeah, there is. They want something, I think, a bit more palatable to a larger audience, especially with the credit crunch on now. I think they're looking for things that...
What on earth is wrong with that? When I sit down with my kids on Saturday night, I don't want to not have the F word thrown at me every minute. I don't want to hear sexual content. I want to see things that I can watch with my family. Yep. And fine, if people want to have that kind of very adult comedy, fine, stick it on cable, put it live, but don't put it where
you mean imprison them or punish them for being funny or interesting? No, I know what you mean.
It's about
Larry, I have an opposite view.
Context.
I don't want to see publicity desperate wannabes doing endless reality shows, getting countless plugs and promotion in all newspapers and magazines. It's as if I'm living in a world where everybody wants to go dancing on ice or whatever. I don't want that, but that's what I get.
Yeah.
You know, I'd like to have a little bit of adult comedy for my £130 plug or
but
around
surely
that.
we're very fortunate now in that we've got so many different platforms, as they call them. I mean, we do have multi channels, and we have live theatre, thankfully, and other kind of, and we have the internet. So, yes, Saturday night on ITV or whatever, you're going to expect a certain thing. But that's not to say the rest of the stuff should be filtered out completely.
No, I agree with you, and I think you're right. There's room for everyone, you know. But I think that television, by its very nature, is trying to reach as wide an audience as it possibly can, you know, to pay its own bills. So that wide audience is usually, I think, Middle England, whatever that is, which you may fall into. I don't know, or you'd like to fall into. I think some people, some comics.
I'm so not Middle England.
No, I don't mean that in a bad way.
You clearly have not read the internet. I'm so delighted you haven't.
No, I just haven't read your internet.
Right.
But I just think...
But there was a fashion, and I think a lot of people felt it, particularly at the BBC, where it was a, let's get the latest comment, let's be as edgy as possible, let's push the boundaries, which is fine.
BBC.
But hang on.
I don't remember that.
No, but if you were to watch things like Jonathan Ross, I was offended by some of the things like the show, and I particularly...
By his interview show?
Yes, because I think the constant kind of let's talk about sex thing with
but Larry, I think the difference is
learn anything interesting about any other guest. All I had was him being as kind of rude and edgy as possible, and that's irritating. It's not funny. It wasn't clever, and I think that that's publicly funded.
Well,
and therefore there has to be some understanding of what the audience who pays for the BBC wants to see.
Okay. I think, well, I'm sorry that the dating didn't work out, but I think what, I think you're right. I think comedy is very subjective, very personal, right? What some people find funny, others don't, right? And I think it's fine to say that you're offended by something, and that's what the remote control is for. Turn it off. But don't punish Jonathan because he happens to be sort of edgy for the BBC. Okay. And I think when he interviews some people, I saw him interview Paul Newman, I thought it was fantastic, you know?
Yeah, but surely you can be edgy, but you still got to be clever. I mean, being kind of out there just for the sake of it and as many bleep, 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 bleeps as you can get, that offends me. If I think the bleep, bleep, bleeps are hung around something that's clever and interesting...
The bleep, bleep guys are your Roy Chubby Browns who don't get on TV, and that really is, as far as I can work out, what Roy Chubby Brown's act is. Almost everybody else that I've seen actually is on television is modestly intelligent, at least.
Russell Brand's really
very clever.
Yeah,
very, very
hugely.
funny.
I don't find him
Okay, let's leave the Brand and Ross thing for just a moment, and tell me the question which I probably should have asked you 100 times before, never have. How did you get into stand-up then?
A lesbian made me. I was in a play. I was an actor, and she thought I was funny in rehearsal and encouraged me to go to a club. And I tried comedy in LA, but I'd been closeted on stage. I mean, my boyfriend knew I was gay, but I didn't tell the audience. And they and they just stared at me like I would talk about having a girlfriend. You've done this. I would talk about having.
Don't get me started.
The audience was like, does he mean girlfriend? You know, they didn't know what I meant. And I didn't know either. And then I was working with Rosie O'Donnell in Los Angeles. And she was a vicious, closeted comic. I mean, she would go after women in the front row, like, I'm going to steal your boyfriend from you. I didn't know she was gay either. And we would stand backstage and talk about how rough the audience was. And we never really talked about what was going on, which was we were both closeted. You know, finally I moved to San Francisco, and a gay and lesbian performance space, Hand of Pearls, opened up. And I performed there, and the first time, it was such a relief, really. It was such a relief. And my mother had added me to myself years ago. My mom and my family were very supportive, and I never had that problem. I think it was just that there were no role models for a long time for gay and lesbian performers in show business.
Now, you mentioned you were an actor as well as making people laugh. Sometimes he combines the two. Remember him in Mrs. Doubtfire? Here he is.
Oh, God. I'm so young and fresh. I was...
And badly coiffured.
Well, I was 12 years old there. It was... No, I walked onto the set, and Harvey Firestein looked at me and said, oh my God, I'm a chicken hawk again. And then in the gay community, a chicken hawk is an old man who preys on young men. Anyway, it was a great experience to be on the set with those two for a week. It's my first film.
It's an education, isn't it, the right stuff, really? It's an education. What about a question from our audience, Eric?
Well, joining us from the Welsh Valleys is Martin. So, Martin, what's your question?